This is a video I've been contemplating for quite some time, and I was really torn on the price point I was going to use, because I think if I set the budget to $100, I could still make a very competitive list. That might well end up being a separate video in the future, but I decided for my usual cutoff of $1,000 so that I could feature some of the more premium models that are challenging Swiss luxury and have become more commonplace in the past few years. There will be some with a very dim view of watches from China, but my personal experience has been overwhelmingly positive, with a few pieces in particular really standing out for me for their quality. If we were to pull back the veil of watchmaking, I'm confident that a huge number of pieces are actually manufactured in China. So to add a little clarity, I'm talking specifically about Chinese brands in this video. Every model featured is available at the time of writing for less than $1,000, and for the sake of variety, I've only featured each brand on the list once. With all that said, let's get into the video. I've had this watch for a few weeks, and a review is in the works, but I've been so impressed by it that I wanted to feature it in this video. This is a strictly no frills timepiece. It's a simple hand-wound mechanical movement with vintage styling on a NATO strap, and I absolutely love that. There's something esoteric and hard to quantify about how I feel about it, something I can't quite put my finger on, but I'm a huge fan of watches for the people, the everyman. If you need a watch to tell the time, this does that. No frills, but rock solid build quality. It does what it sets out to do. I think of this model a little like the mechanical equivalent to a Casio F91W, if that makes sense. I discussed this model on the channel a couple of weeks ago when investigating skeletonized dials, but have since acquired one. I haven't made a full review on the piece yet, but I think it's worth discussing in this video. In terms of styling, I'll be frank, it isn't to my taste. I'm a firm fan of more traditional designs, but watches like this wouldn't get made if flashier pieces weren't in demand, and I can respect that. What earns it a spot for me on the list is the intrigue factor. I genuinely don't think it's possible to buy a more visually interesting piece for less, and I dare say there is an educational factor at play here too if you want to learn how an automatic movement actually functions. I've had a few models from Addiesdive in hand at this point, but none has impressed me more than the AD2073. The only real downside to the piece is the lack of originality in terms of its design. Yes, it's a homage, and that might be enough to put some people off, but for those still on board, it represents an absolute bargain monster. It's powered by a sweeping VH31 quartz, has stainless steel construction, 100 meters of water resistance, BGW9 lume, sapphire crystal, and comes on a comfortable and solid 5-link bracelet. Add on to that the incredible work they've done on the gradient dial, and I think it becomes a really enticing option. Another homage, but the one that had the most impact on me personally. I wanted to see whether a real Speedmaster was for me and got one of these to do a trial run of the experience. It had the desired effect, but more than that, it was one of the first pieces that really opened my eyes to the quality that's out there. The PD1701 feels bulletproof. My experience was one of exceptionally high quality control, far beyond my expectations at the low price point. The finishing was solid, the VK63 metal quartz movement accurate and reliable, and there were, and indeed still are, a wide range of colorways available. If you don't want to shell out on a real speedy, this is definitely worth your consideration. Earlier in the year, I reviewed this 38mm titanium Boderry Voyager, which I thought was an interesting piece, not least because I've never seen an exhibition caseback on a quartz movement before. I have, however, opted to be a little less specific with this inclusion, because the choice on offer across the Voyager range is extensive and has just grown even further. Your choices were already varied with 38 or 40mm sizing and a wide variety of colorways and designs. Now though, you've got automatic small seconds and mechanical chronograph pieces to throw into the mix, which really take things to the next level. The movements alone are a clear step up, but the crown has also moved to 6 o'clock, which is so much better and was one of my only bugbears with the older pieces. Almost every Chinese watch brand has gotten its start with affordable homage pieces. It's an unfortunate truth, but that doesn't mean they can't then stretch their legs in design terms later on down the line. I've still got a Cadisen palm leaf in my collection and it's been a rock solid beater for years, but a homage only goes so far. The C8231 doesn't have a great name, but is, comparatively speaking, an original design, and what a looker it is. The busyness of the double bezel setup is contrasted really nicely against that textured dial. It's NH35 powered, 38.5mm in diameter, has AR undercoated sapphire crystal and BGW9 lume. Really very nice. San Martins sit at an uncomfortable price point. They're not exactly expensive, but they're also not cheap enough that you'd buy one without worrying too much about the financial outlay. And on top of that, there's plenty of competition for your money in the $200 to $300 price range from almost every corner of the market. However, what San Martin do offer is quality control, incredible finishing, and premium dial options that you are highly unlikely to find anywhere else for less. I have a marble San Martin GMT in my personal collection, but the whole range is so diverse, I think there's something for everyone in there, and it's well worth your time exploring. While Sea-Gull are most famous for their 1963 range and ST1901 chronograph movements, that is far from the only line of watches that they produce. The 1984 Ocean series is a range of 200-meter rated divers with ST2130 automatic movements, sapphire crystal with anti-reflective undercoating, and the real unique selling point, a textured graphic relief spanning the dial depicting Antarctica. There are two drawbacks for this piece though. To accommodate that dial and 200 meters of water resistance, they're quite bulky, 42mm in diameter and nearly 15mm thick, so too big for me personally. The other drawback is simply availability. They have proven to be very popular and are quite hard to get hold of as a result. You might well think I've completely lost the plot here. Nearly $800 for a quartz watch from China. Well, let me explain the rationale here. This watch is 5 to 6 times more expensive than your average Berny. It's their most expensive piece by quite some margin, and while I highly rate some of their budget pieces, this list was suffering badly from under $100-itis. So instead, I wanted to discuss what is their flagship model. What you're getting beneath the exterior is a Swiss Ronda powered timepiece with day-date and small seconds complications. The aesthetic is purposefully gaudy, because a lot of that heightened price point is explained by the inclusion of an 18-carat solid gold bezel. Definitely not your average Berny. Ciga Design produce a lot of interesting timepieces, but when limited to featuring just one on the list, it really boils down to just one choice, the Blue Planet. This is a watch famous for having won the Grand Prix de Horlogerie de Genève Challenge Watch Prize in 2021, which can be thought of like a watch winning an Oscar. It's a deeply impressive piece of original design, which goes against the narrative of Chinese brands being purveyors of nothing more than cheap imitations. One issue that many have flagged about the original release is that it would have been nice if other areas of the globe were also available on the dial. There's now an Atlantic version of the watch available, which does just that. So there we have it, what I consider to be the 10 best Chinese watches that money can buy for less than $1,000. There is one issue I want to highlight before we wrap things up though, and I can't think of a better term for it than drop shipping, though I appreciate that probably isn't the correct nomenclature. It's the issue whereby some models are imported to the West and then listed as countless different meaningless brand names. It just means that good, bad or indifferent, it becomes hard to direct praise, give recommendations or indeed criticism. I'd also say to Chinese brands that pricing watches at tens of thousands on your official website when they are available for less than $100 on AliExpress is not fooling anyone. No one takes a 95% plus discount seriously. People will respect transparent pricing more than they will ridiculous markups then discounts. With that in mind, I'd like to open the floor to you for your thoughts and experiences. Is there anything you'd like to say or add regarding the models in this video, or are there other pieces that you feel could or indeed should have featured? Obviously, a lot of the models featured are at the very affordable end of the spectrum, so I'd love to hear in particular about models worth consideration that are a little pricier. Let's discuss in the comments section below. As ever, thank you for your time. If you've enjoyed what you've seen or found it informative, consider dropping the video a like and subscribing for more content like this in future.